It's liftoff here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Robbie Lastella Report with you alongside Tobey and Christian. 102.9 the game. You're probably listening on, maybe not, but you're watching the Lastella Report on YouTube most definitely alongside my guys. Guys, how you doing?
Good, Robbie. As always, it's great to be on the Lastella Report and great to be ending the day on it.
Robbie, thank you for having me, bro.
Christian is inside of a building. Breaking news! Breaking news! Not too much going on tonight. Just besides NBA playoff action, NCAA portal movement, MLB news. So I guess there is just a little bit to talk about tonight. But NBA games, a ton of action actually going on tonight. Sixers up right now, 74-70 over the Knicks, trying to salvage that one out. Can Joel Embiid push his guys through? The Cavs up on Orlando 48-47 at the half. If you're on Hard Rock Sports Book, it's not a friend of the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network, but there's some really good value right now. Paolo Banchero, Donovan Mitchell. If they each score 12 points in the second half, those odds are plus 210 right now on Hard Rock Sportsbook. 12 points isn't too much, a little offensive action. Orlando's been a little bit quieter on the road as compared to home. Orlando, they won last two games by 20 points in Orlando. I was talking nonsense about the Magic's home court. Well, I guess they do got some home court indeed. So we'll see if they salvage that one out. And the nightcap tonight is Milwaukee versus Indiana. Pacers with a chance to try to knock off the Bucks. Not tonight, but overall in this series. If Giannis has been out, Tyrese Halliburton's been inconsistent. It's like he tore up the league midway through the year, and where is he at now? But if he can get going, then maybe they got a chance, and the Pacers could make a run. Taking a look at the bracket. In the next round, the Pacers, if they were somehow to advance, they would take on the winner of Knicks versus Sixers. Listen, if the things work out where the Sixers somehow knock off the Knicks and the Pacers somehow knock off the Bucks, I would take the Pacers all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Still a lot of time to go, though, in Knicks versus Sixers. We shall see if the Sixers can pull this one out or if the Knicks can keep on keeping on. But yesterday's action, we had we had one sweep and one almost sweep. The Lakers, they fell to the Nugs, and the Thunder, they rolled right on over the Pelicans. Taking a look at the Lakers, though, they lost 108-106. Jamal Murray with the basically buzzer beater game-winning shot with 3 seconds to go. Lakers couldn't even get it up past half court. Taurean Prince ended up with the ball in his hands at the buzzer, which cannot happen if you don't have a timeout and there's only so much you can do. But how is LeBron not taking that final shot there? But now the question mark, we'll get to the Thunder, or excuse me, we'll get to the Nuggets in a second. We'll also get to the Thunder in a second, but we'll talk about our two losers first before we get to our two winners. With the Lakers, a lot is going to be going on in this offseason, right? LeBron with a $51.4 million option, player option. D'Angelo Russell also with a player option this offseason. Darvin Ham, possible hot seat. Will the Lakers draft Bronny James? There's a lot to do. The question now becomes, in my opinion, can you build around a 40-year-old superstar? Tobey, Christian, I'll get your thoughts. Can LeBron still lead this team? Can he be the number one guy, or do they need to go out and get a real number one at this point?
I feel like LeBron still can be like a real number one. I just think they have to get another big piece to complement him. I don't think they need to go out and get necessarily, another number one because I feel like that'll only conflict with LeBron. I mean, that's kind of reminds me of Kyrie and LeBron back in Cleveland. But I mean, it kind of showed us this playoff series against, the Nuggets that he can't really lead a team all the way through the postseason anymore, at least when you play a really good team like the Denver Nuggets. So I don't know what's next for him, but I don't think LeBron's that answer to lead them all the way through the playoffs anymore.
My personal take is that LeBron is still a top 5 to 7 player in basketball right now, despite being 40 years old. The issue is the fact of everybody else was just pissing down their legs throughout the entire postseason. D'Angelo Russell was nowhere to be found, and Anthony Davis is just I don't think Anthony Davis is really like that anymore. If there's anybody that I think the Lakers should move on from, it's honestly AD. And so I think if you get LeBron a true number two, like Tobey said, that there could be some talk of that LeBron could win a postseason series next year. However, I don't think LeBron will be in LA anymore. I think you would be a fool to sign D'Lo to that player option. And I could honestly say that this is probably Anthony Davis's team.
See, if it's Anthony Davis's team, then it's how. What is he putting up 30 points every night? Maybe, but he's getting old too.
Games he'll play.
That is true. Yeah. They work well together as a 1 and 2, so it's like it's tough to say either of them is really a number one at this point. And the Lakers, they're right over that first apron. They got about $7 million to work with before they hit that second apron. So they can't really go out and get a superstar at the moment. If they get rid of D'Angelo and keep LeBron, it's not up to them. It's up to the player. But if that's how it works out, then they have some money to work with. Look, this team is not horrible. I'm not looking at the Lakers like I am the Suns. The Lakers led for minutes in this entire series. They lost 4 games to 1, but the Lakers led for 3/4 of the entire minutes in this series. The Nuggets had to fight and scrap hard to come back in these games, and so it just looked like to me they were missing that one piece, right? Let's help the Lakers help out the Suns, right? Let's. I'm not a capologist. I'm not I don't know. I don't even know if their money here is to make this work. But let's say the Lakers pick up D'Angelo's option and LeBron's option, right? Why don't we send a package of picks, D'Angelo and something to Phoenix, and then send KD to Los Angeles, and then that, in my opinion, is TV Central number one. I mean, KD and LeBron finally playing together. They're playing out their golden years together. If they have a shot, in my opinion, of winning either of them, it would be together. I mean, obviously, there's other scenarios where they could go and succeed, but looking how it is right now, if KD's not winning on the Suns, LeBron is not winning on the Lakers. So put them together, combine that with AD, and keep some of the bench pieces. Like maybe you can take Hachimura and make him the sixth man, right? I would like that. I really do think that would be something to consider for the Lakers. But then you're building around two 40-year-old guys. So it's a move I like for the Lakers, but it's also, do they have the money and do they want to build around two 40-year-old superstars? So something to consider there. They may, Bronny James, I don't see a reason for him to go to the pros. And if the Lakers draft him, he could be a bench piece for them right now, sure. But how much is he providing next season, in 2 seasons from now, really? Bronny, in my opinion, is a guy who's 3 to 4 years away from contributing at the NBA at a high level. Especially right now, he needs to go play for Drew Joyce. Keith Danbrough just retired, but go play for Drew Joyce at Duquesne. Make a storyline, take a small school, take them to the NCAA tournament, then go pro. Then all of a sudden, you're different. You're close. You're not LeBron coming out of St. Mary's, but you're LeBron James Jr. coming out of Duquesne. So, lot to think about if you're the Lakers. Lot to think about if you're LeBron and his family. I don't think retirement is up just yet for LeBron, but we'll see what's up next for the Lakers. As I also said, the Pelicans lost last night. They got swept out of there by the Thunder. This was actually 2 nights ago, but nevertheless, is Zion a guy you guys look at as somebody who can lead a team as a number one guy, right? He played 70 games this year. And so arguably that was a lot. Only missed 12 games, his most since sophomore year. But, he's out of 324 possible games, he's missed 144. He's played 108. So it's like he's missing a lot. That works out to about 60% of games that he's missing. So it's like I'm just a little baffled if he's a guy who can lead a team, be a number one guy. Looking at the rest of that team, there is no one else. Brandon Ingram is not a number one. CJ McCollum is not a number one. So what are the Pelicans doing? Do you guys think Zion's a number one guy? He came out of college with the potential to be the next LeBron for sure, but injuries, bad nutrition, maybe. I'm not. He's not fat, but he's not in the best shape. What do you guys think?
I just feel like, you said it, if he's missing 60% of the games, your number one's got to be reliable. I mean, you look at all the number ones across the league and they're reliable. They're reliable guys, and you're missing that many games. I mean, sure, he can, get it together. He's got that potential to be a one, but right now, no, you can't say that because he's just missing too many games.
Yeah, no, like you guys said, the injury history is just not there. Zion, for all the reasons that Robbie stated, has been off the court a lot more than he's been on the court, and because of that, he's not played at the level of the high school Zion and the Duke Zion, where everybody's seen the mixtapes, everybody knows what this dude is capable of. Like probably the scariest thing ever was some poor kid in high school sitting in his third period math class, knowing that he's got to try to guard Zion later tonight. Like that's not happening. So just we know what Zion's capable of. Like Tobey said, he has the potential, but as of right now, he is not a number one for the injury history. And like you said, Robbie, CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram are not ones either. You're probably not finding your one in the draft because it's a terrible draft class. So I think the Pelicans are just screwed.
And so, we're talking about stars and their injuries, right? And the Heat that we talked about them last night going down 3-1. We won't drill into the negativity too much, but we will drill into the negativity of the team overall. So Jimmy's been out this whole series, right? And so in his entire career, he's missed 116 out of 410 possible games, 28%. He's not Zion, right? He's not missing 60% of games played, but that's still 28% for your superstar. It's not ideal. And so, Jim, we talk about rest. And so Jimmy is obviously supposed to come into the playoffs well rested, but nothing is going to prevent, a freak injury like that somebody landing on your knee and causing an MCL sprain. With the Heat, I don't want to call them dead to rights yet, right? To be looking at the Heat and saying they're down 3-1 and it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't want to do that necessarily just yet, but hypothetically, if they were to be down 3-1, or if they were to lose this series and get knocked out in the first round, what does this offseason look like to you guys? I mean, for me, so you got guys like you got Tyler Herro, you got Duncan Robinson locked down, you got Triple J, Jaime Jaquez, you've got Nikola Jovic. That's a young core. Jimmy Butler is aging, right? Those guys and Jimmy, they should be able to hypothetically be pretty decent. Get a big man. You have Bam too. Like I didn't even mention Bam. So it's like the team is solid, but is Jimmy at this point in his career a number one? Can he be the guy? I mean, he did it just a year ago. And so, if Jimmy wasn't injured right now, this wouldn't even be a question, but he's injured and he missed part of the season. And we see this team without him is very discombobulated. So he's obviously leader. Like they're throwing passes out of bounds. It's a mess. But how far can he bring you? He's 36. He's missing these games. I personally do think he is a number one, and I think you have to, you go back way back, but when Dwayne Wade was a rookie, you could have traded him his rookie year or a year after and tried to go get Baron Davis or somebody else of that whenever that those type of stars around that type of era. They didn't. They invested in Wade, and then a couple years later, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, big three happened. So you never know what happens with the stars you have, and you don't want to go give them up to go. Who are you going to trade Triple J and Jaime and Jovic for? You're going to go trade him for KD? Then you're pairing Jimmy with aging KD, and then instead of having a young core when Jimmy inevitably has to retire in a couple of years, you now have KD, who's also packing it up, and nobody, and probably no money and no picks, because you're not just going to get KD for Triple J and Jovic. So if you guys are the Heat, what does this offseason look like for you? Where are the moves coming?
I think they just need to build around this young core. I don't know, unless there's like a young superstar they can go out and get. I mean, I don't really think it's worth going, like you said, to pair Jimmy with an aging superstar. That just doesn't sound like a recipe for long-term success. And I mean, these young guys can develop and become really good. And I'd rather have those guys have something built around them to carry us through, hopefully, the playoffs for years to come, than you go all in on Jimmy Butler and you go all in on just getting another ring, within whatever time he has left with the team.
I'm going to tell you all exactly how this offseason is going to go because it's the same way that it's gone for the past 5 years. All right? The Heat, they go to the playoffs. They're one piece away from either a finals push or getting a ring. You go into the offseason, everybody has high hopes, and there's always a disgruntled superstar, whether it's KD, whether it's Kyrie, whether it's Harden. So now Heat Twitter, the little Photoshop warriors that they are going to jersey swap the hell out of anybody with an upcoming contract or anybody with that's in free agency or anybody that is unhappy with their situation. They're going to Photoshop it. It's going to go crazy on Twitter. Everybody's going to be loving it. Hashtag trade for Dame. And you're just going to let every core piece of this team walk in free agency. You're going to get blackballed by the Trailblazers for trying to get Dame. You're going to not like your Dame package is going to do better than Dame during the season. And inevitably, the Heat are going to lose more than they gain in the offseason. And then we're going to be looking at Pat Riley as if he's washed, and Heat Twitter's going to be calling for his head. It's the same story that happens every year. Like, we know what's going to happen.
It is the cycle of life, and that's why I brought up last night. It is a time for Pat Riley to maybe consider to move on and get a young, just analytical guy in there who knows different things. I mean, the Godfather, Pat Riley, he's got his what makes him work, but there's also these younger guys. Look at the Thunder's front office, and they're cooking up too. So a lot to consider of if you're Miami, but I agree. I don't think the Heat do anything too drastic this season, but I do think the fans are going to push it. Caleb Martin's a guy who's also probably going to be gone this offseason. It's going to be like the Duncan situation, or the Max Strus or the Gabe Vincent. They're probably not going to pay Caleb Martin this crazy deal just to stick around. So there will be some change. The Heat should have a little bit more money to work with, unless they do resign Caleb Martin. Then probably not. So the Heat are back in action tomorrow. They're 13.5-point dogs to the Celtics. I don't know. I don't even know if I'd be comfortable taking 13.5. They've been down 20 early in the first half at times, and it's just been ugly basketball. So. We'll see what cooks up tomorrow. We'll see if they can salvage a game in Boston, which they're better in Boston than at home. So we'll see. But we haven't talked to MLB on this show here on the Lastella Report in quite a while. And last night, something caught my eye. Yankees now lost 2 straight to the Orioles. They lost tonight. No bueno. But I heard about the Orioles and their field renovations a couple years ago, and I thought this happened not too off. I thought this happened last offseason, but I guess it happened 2 off seasons ago. But still, the Orioles used to have a very, very friendly left field, and they pushed the fence back a little bit. Steven, do you have those clips of the Orioles or the Yankees home runs? Would have been home runs last night. Yeah, I want to show you guys this.
High fly ball. Left field, a lot of room out there. Cows are back. Makes the play. Tagging is Grisham. And he just draws the throw. High fly ball to play. Tagging is.
So yeah, you guys get the point. You see if you know old Orioles Park, you know the fence was in a little bit more. So you think with something like that, it would be a negative for the Orioles. Like obviously they want to be a hitter friendly ballpark. They want to be able to sign these right handed hitters who want to go hit dingers. And you'd think with that going out, that now the Orioles would be probably not the best in the majors in homers, except they are. They're number one right now in the majors with 56 home runs. And so now all of a sudden the Orioles did that 2 seasons ago. Not only do they make it difficult for opposing hitters, I'm not the Yankees fan here saying, "Oh, Orioles, they suck for that." It's a brilliant move because they found a way to not only have their hitters adapt to it, they're hitting dingers left and right, but it gets a guy like Corbin Burns to come in here and say, these dimensions. If I pitch the right way, I'm probably not giving up too many home runs. So there's so many different aspects that it's a positive to. Toby, do you think more teams would consider looking at expanding their outfield a little bit because of something like this, or do you think they just got to keep it how it is?
I think it all depends on the team. Some of these guys, are a lot of these teams look at analytics a lot, and if the team's pulling the ball a lot, say you got a lot of righties pulling the ball, probably not gonna move the wall back and increase flyouts. But if you got guys like a lot of lefties and guys on the right side that won't pull the ball, sure, why not make it a little easier on your pitchers? But I don't, I thought that the Orioles wall makes it kind of harder. Obviously, makes it harder for them too because they're playing there. But I feel like at the same time, it allows their hitters to become better at taking the ball to right field instead of trying to pull it all the time because they know it's not gonna work out in their favor. And I feel like a lot of the time I see these right-handed hitters on the Orioles tend to hit the ball more to the gaps because they know they have a better shot of getting a home run in that spot than opposed to left field. As you saw, that ball didn't even touch the warning track. So
Yeah.
it's I don't really know how often we're gonna see fence getting moved back like that. But I mean, if the home run numbers are high and it's causing you to lose games, I mean, why not think about it?
It's just something to consider. And I mean, the Yankees, if they take away if they flip it on the other side, if they were to take away the short porch, I think people would have a heart attack. So,
That would be
uh,
scary.
everyone, I mean, these teams like their home field advantages. It's just a little surprising that the Orioles would give it up, but it creates a different type of advantage. Somebody who needs a hitting advantage, or at least they did before this past weekend, was the Houston Astros. They came into that series against the Rockies, losers of 8 of their last 9. They salvaged 2. The last 2 against the Rocks, and now they lost 18 of their first 25, but now they have a sense of I guess they feel renewed. Jordan Alvarez, he said to the team before this series, which was in Mexico, they said, "I told the guys this is the moment to believe our season starts today." It's been a rough go of it for the Stros. 6 of their starting pitchers, they've already been on the injured list this season. Brian Abreu, Ryan Presley, Josh Hader, they've allowed 24 earned runs in 32 innings. And Jose Abreu is slumping bad, and so they've had nothing going on for them, and so now they found a little bit of momentum. Um, they called up Joey Loperfido. I don't know how to say his last name, but I saw him. I saw a little bit of his home runs at the minor league level. So he's a power bat. Can possibly replace Abreu. They've already been platooning him with John Singleton a little bit. Abreu is in his 37th season. Um, his contract pays him $58.5 million more through 2025. And his first 71 at bats, only 7 hits and 18 strikeouts. So they call up this guy right when the season, in the eyes of at least Jordan, is turning around. Do the Astros have any chance? I mean, Verlander came back. I think it was last weekend, maybe 2 weekends ago. So they're getting some pitchers back, maybe. Maybe this rookie gives them a spark. But at the same time, it's time for me to start thinking maybe the Astros dynasty of old is done, which I'm here for.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it too. I think it's definitely on the decline for sure. But I would say that, the season's maybe in a bit more of a tough spot for them. But, they're last in the West right now. They're only 6.5 games back though, and it's not even May yet. The Angels also just lost Mike Trout to knee surgery, which is a huge blow, and they are already, not they're not doing hot right now. They lost Rendon too. They're 2-8 in their last 10. So,
when do they not lose Rendon?
Never. So that's absolutely nothing new.
Trout.
What?
I said, do they not lose Mike Trout either?
Oh, that too. But I mean, he was leading the league in home runs before he got hurt. So I mean, like any way you want to joke about it, that's obviously a huge blow. But looking at the league, just there are 4 teams that have less than 10 wins right now, and besides the Astros, it's the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Marlins. So they're joined by some pretty elite company down there. But
yeah,
they could maybe scrape together third place, I think, with the A's being there too. But the A's are playing good baseball, so I don't know.
Yeah, the Astros, they got to go play the Guardians next, then the Mariners, then the Yankees, who they lost 3 out of 4 to in the first season. So first year's season. So it's not going to be getting much easier for them. But if what Yordan Alvarez believes is true, maybe they come out and they shock everybody. But you mentioned those 3 bottom dwelling teams. We'll leave the Astros out of it because they just beat the Rockies. So we'll leave them out of the bottom right now. So they can't be the worst because we'll leave them out. But the White Sox 6-23, the Marlins 6-24, and the Rockies 7-21. White Sox, they're batting .208 with a 5.02 team ERA. The Fish, they're batting .221 with a 4.94 team ERA, and the Rockies, it doesn't get much. You thought the Marlins may be bad, but the Rockies, their ERA is 6.06. No, there is no pitching in the Mountain High. They're just hitting dingers left and right. I mean, the team batting average is solid compared to these other teams. They're batting .245. Their first 4 guys are all hitting above .280. So relatively, that from that perspective, they're hitting, but there is no pitching going on. 0.
Nope, none at all. They need to draft for pitching. That's really the bottom line for that team.
Also, I just said that the Marlins literally just had a walk-off against the Rockies, so maybe we're not that ass.
Go Fish!
But let's go. They're going to post a selfie, and at this rate, at the end of the season, your iCloud storage will not be full of selfies. You'll have a lot of room to spare. But Robbie, please don't make me talk about this team. Please don't make me do it.
I mean, so would you? I mean, the Marlins beat the Rockies tonight. We'll see if they salvage this series. Neither of those teams have won a series this whole year. That's a 3-game series, folks. So somebody's got to win. Somebody's winning. Is it going to be the Marlins? Is it going to be the Rockies? If it's not the Marlins, Christian, burn the organization down. No, I'm kidding. But
burn the organization down, even if they beat the Rockies.
Yeah,
bro.
They had Kim Ning, and I mispronounced her last name. I'm sorry, but
I don't know.
Is it Na? I don't know, but however you say it, she was electric. She was a great GM, and then she had the Marlins looking good, making playing game appearances. And then they go and get Peter Bendix, I think his name is. Bendix, something like that. Not a good last name, not a good GM, and the ownership's even worse. Bruce Sherman, I mean, you fire everybody. You fire the people on TV. You fire the radio announcer. You might as well, you fire the coach. Fire yourself next. Maybe the Marlins somehow salvage this series out against the Rockies, and this guy's looking all good. But man, there's not many worse organizations ran than the Marlins. I just had to get a quick Marlins rant out there. I'm sure Christian enjoys that since you didn't want to talk about them.
I mean, you kind of got me wanting to talk about it, but we're kind of getting a little close to commercial. So should I go really quick?
What do you got to say, Christian, about these fish?
Brian De La Cruz is the only reason that this team is still halfway relevant. Jazz Chisholm is either hitting a grand slam or he's going 0 for 4 on the day, no in between. And our pitchers are absolutely atrocious. Somebody said that Jesus Luzardo was going to be the NL Cy Young. Bro is 0 for 2 with a 6.5 ERA. Our closer, Andy Nardi, with an 8.2 ERA. Are you kidding me? The only pitcher on this staff that has a winning record this year is in the damn minor league.
Yikes.
This team is atrocious. Please just burn down the organization, destroy Lone Depot Park, maybe put it in a spot where you have to pay $60 for parking. Like, just get this whole team out of here. Like, please. If the A's fans really want a team in Oakland so bad, send the Marlins there. I've lived 20 years with this team and I don't want to do it anymore. Send them to Oakland. I don't care.
Oakland's looking for a team, Christian. So maybe you got to go do the bidding. But you're right. The Fish win tonight, 7-6 over the Rockies. Scott Tan gets his first win of the year for the Fish. He's 1-4. Hey, Christian, his ERA is pretty solid. I don't know how many innings he's pitched, but he's got 4 losses. His ERA is only 2.84. So maybe hop on the Tanner Scott bandwagon. So not Scott Tanner, Tanner Scott. I know him. He's pretty decent on MLB. But hey, we're gonna take a quick break here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. When we come back, we're talking NCAA men's basketball and football. Stay with us right here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless, and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to 102.9 The Game, Riptide Sports Media Network, Bleacher Brothers Sports Network, all the sports networks. But closing you out tonight is the Lastella Report. Still along with the ride for you, Robbie Lastella, Tobey Shulman, Christian Proscia. We're talking NCAA hoops, but in the pros, real quick, Sixers Knicks headed to overtime, knotted up at 97. Tyrese Maxey with 41 points tonight. Jalen Brunson with 31 for the Knicks, another 30-piece for Jalen Brunson. He's taken over Nick Nation for sure. One of the better players in Villanova history for sure as well. Speaking of Villanova, NCAAs, nothing actually about Villanova, but transitioning over to the NCAAs, we didn't mention yesterday our guy Vlad Goldin is headed up to Michigan with Dusty May. Good for Vlad. I think that's a very solid fit. Vlad last season, 15.7 points per game, 6.9 rebounds. He pairs himself up with Danny Wolf, kind of a yin and yang type of 1 and 2. Danny, 14.1 points per game, 9.7 rebounds, 2.4 assists. Really solid big man down low. They also got Roddy Gale from Ohio State. He put up 13.5 points per game last year. Those are three guys right there. And that's, that's not it for Dusty, right? There's still more. Trey Donaldson came over from Auburn. Sam Walters from Alabama. Reuben Jones from North Texas. So Dusty is cooking up in the portal up there in Michigan. Will Michigan make it back to the NCAA tournament? That's the question that everyone wants the answer to. We don't know. We'll never know until the end of the season. But, another guy, Nemani Burnett, came back today, like Tobey mentioned to me before the podcast. So what do you guys think? Is Michigan on paper? I don't think there's a way you say Michigan's not headed back to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like, Dusty May brings FAU to the tournament the last 2 years, goes to Michigan, gets this type of a roster. I mean, you got to think, with every ounce and every fiber of your body that he is going to bring this team back to the tournament. I mean, even just retaining guys like Nemani Burnett, like you said, Robbie, I mean, that's a McDonald's All-American. Like, giving Dusty May this talent, and now you give him a guy that he's worked with so much in Vlad Goldin. I mean, I'm really excited to watch this Michigan team. As much as, pains me to say it as an FAU student, I really am excited to watch what they do.
Michigan's going to be good as hell. Michigan's going to win the Big Ten. Like, I don't know why people are saying – because there's still people on Twitter saying that, like, Michigan isn't good. People are talking about Dusty May as not being a good coach, as if Dusty didn't win National Coach of the Year, like, 2 years ago. Michigan is going to be a very good team. Michigan is going to be the landing spot for top recruits, especially in the portal for the next couple of years if they do what they're projected to do. I personally, like I previously just stated, I think Michigan wins the Big Ten this year.
We shall see. A lot of competition. The Pac-12 is headed over, most of them at least, to the Big Ten. So we shall see how that works out. Michigan versus UCLA, going to be weird for sure. But you know what? Embrace it, because that's the future we're in now. The future is also crystal balling Johnell Davis to go to Arkansas. Nothing confirmed with that yet. Just an expert prediction. Still possible Johnell goes to the pros. Obviously, return to FAU ruled out. Won't be going to Michigan. Academics maybe just not a fit with Coach May anymore. But Arkansas would definitely be an interesting place for Johnell, playing with Coach Cal. That's the spotlight. Doesn't get much brighter than playing for Coach Cal. But one thing Coach Cal does is he puts guys in the NBA. So if Johnell does go to these NBA workouts and hears back, listen, hey, go work on your game. No, in my opinion, I love Dusty May, incredible coach himself. But in terms of putting players into the pros, John Calipari does an incredible job of that. Look at the one-and-done culture he created while at Kentucky. So, do you guys think Johnell goes Arkansas? Or do you actually, you don't know what's better for Johnell at this point, Arkansas or the NBA?
I don't really think he has much of a future in the NBA, at least as much as we thought. Maybe going into the season this year. If he goes to Arkansas, I can tell you he's probably going to become a much more polished player and maybe even a smarter player. And because I'm telling you, that last play against Northwestern, that's not flying with Coach Calipari. That type of I don't even know what to call that. It's just that's not fine with Coach Ken. So I mean, if he goes there, I'm sure he'll become a polished player. But I don't know if it really helps his NBA chances any more than playing at FAU did, or just going to the league now would.
I think Nelly does stay in college. The question of where he goes is a very big question. Obviously, you got the 14-year-olds on Twitter posting the terrible jersey swaps, and at least once a week it's a different school. Like, we've been hearing Duke, we've been hearing Kentucky, we've been hearing Michigan. Now it's Arkansas. Next week it's going to be Michigan State. Like nobody knows where Nelly's going to go. Like, somebody's going to say he's going to go to Miami and play for Larinaga. I guarantee it. Somebody's going to say it. Like, everybody's just using it for clicks because he's the top rated guy in the portal. Everybody's looking for the quick interactions because everybody knows who Johnell Davis is. They know that he's an elite player. And if you're looking social media wise, if you're trying to clickbait, there's no better dude in the portal right now to use than Johnell Davis. So obviously he has a little bit more time to figure out. I do believe he stays in college one more year, but he still has until mid-June to decide what his best bet is.
We shall see where Nelly ends up. Portal closes tomorrow. But while we're on the topic of the portal, Lukai Patterson, who was one of Charlotte's better players this year, second team All AAC, very solid, gritty guard, announced earlier in the year, or earlier a couple weeks ago, that he was committed to coming back to Charlotte, released a whole video on it, and then today entered the portal anyway. And so, per the Charlotte Post, Cameron Williams, I'm going to read you guys a little bit of how originally Lukai was deciding to come back to Charlotte, and then we'll talk a little bit about how this relays into Giancarlo Rosado a little bit. Patterson, he said, I was on a lot of these recruiting visits. I didn't post anything or anything like that, but I was on the recruiting visits with Giancarlo Rosado. I wasn't on the visit with Kylan Blackman, but as soon as Giancarlo hit the portal, I was in contact with him. So I was still helping, even though I hadn't made up my mind officially yet. That was before he released that video. Lukai said, after talking to Giancarlo, that he wanted to be teammates and strive to win an AAC title together. The fan base was also an influence. And I quote, it really made my decision easier hearing these guys talk with coaches about their own goals and what they wanted to accomplish, talking about Rosado. And man, the fan base here and just how much they praise me is crazy. I just love the community here and want to keep making the community proud. So Lukai is not going to be making the Charlotte community proud, at least. He will be headed to the portal. As in terms for our guy, Giancarlo Rosado, it's been rumored ever since he entered the portal that it wasn't done business. Time is ticking. Johnell's got, I think it closes at noon tomorrow, so he's got like 15 hours-ish to enter his name back into the portal. But I don't see how he doesn't. Right? If at least anything from the Charlotte Post article, from what Lukai said is true. If Lukai is going in here saying, I listened to him and his aspirations and we wanted to partner up, win an AAC title, and then he leaves, did they talk about it? Was there any type of, or did Lukai just dip? Say, oh yeah, you know what? I did my city solid. I got him Giancarlo Rosado. I got him Kylan Blackman. They don't need me anymore. I'm going to go get my bag. Peace. Man, the portal is a nasty, nasty place. Lukai is a hooper. I'm not talking bad about Lukai here. I mean, he made his decision. I do wish he would have probably made it a little bit earlier because if I know, I don't know, but I'd imagine Giancarlo is thinking hard now. Like, man, this guy who recruited me is leaving. Why am I here? Why don't I go back to FAU? FAU still got 2 center spots open. Baba Miller's getting recruited by Wake Forest. Vlad Goldin's off to Michigan. Trey Carroll's here. But other than that, big man position is lacking. So, man, what do you guys – if you were Giancarlo, how would you feel in this situation And not only that, like, is this a bad move from Lukai waiting until if what this article says is true? If he was recruiting guys, and is that a bad move from him?
I think it's just like scummy to the fan base to say something like, "Oh, I appreciate all the fan support, and that's part of the reason why I'm staying," and then you just do a total 180 and like you said, dip out. But I mean, like if he's gonna make a bag, I can't really blame him. It's just a really, really bad way to go about it, and it really doesn't make you look good to whatever fan base you're going to. And if I'm Rosado, I'm kind of just thinking like, what's going on here in Charlotte? Is there something I really don't know about this team that I commit to early? So maybe if he was fully into Charlotte and all those rumors we heard of it not being like 100% were maybe not true at the time, I think that definitely has changed now, and he maybe is thinking like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, no, we've heard, our FAU fan base has heard the guys keep supporting me in my future endeavors. Please keep supporting me. Come to my NIL post sign 2 days before I hit the portal. Make sure you spend money. Get all your kids to take pictures with me one more time before I hightail it off to Gainesville. We've heard that before. It was scummy 2 weeks ago. It is scummy now. Like that is such a bad move. I had to think of a different word. That is a bad move by Lukai, man. Like that. Oh, that doesn't sit right to me. Like that's the first time I've heard that quote, Robbie, when you were just saying that. Like that's just, I don't like that. And also, because I know the FAU former and current basketball dudes, they watch this show. We know that they watch this show. We see the viewership. Come home, bro. You know where home is, bro. 561, baby. Keep it in the crib, man. Come on, come back home. If you're not watching this, I'm DMing you tonight. Like, I'm going to shoot you a text tonight.
We're clipping it.
Yeah, come home. Come home, bro. We miss you out here. I miss you already, bro. Come home. Come on, man.
15 hours until that portal door closes, Christian. So we shall see if indeed he does decide to make that move back home. But that's just the way of the portal. That's just the way of the portal, Christian. Portal giveth and the portal taketh away. The portal has just taketh away Lukai Patterson. So we'll see what develops. The AAC for sure is going to look a lot different next year in basketball, probably in football too. Speaking of the NCAA football world, earlier this week, Omarion, Miller, Cormani McClain both went portaling for Colorado. Another big portal season for them and Coach Prime. And The Athletic, they released an article earlier this week talking about how the opposite side of the Deion Sanders portal effect and the players who leave. You look at the guys, right, who left last year. 15 Power 5 programs, not bad. 22 G5, 11 FCS or D2, 2 in JUCO, and 3 not on any roster. So those are all the guys that Deion went and said, get in that portal. But you never really hear from them. You never really hear what happened, how to go down. And so, we heard from Xavier Smith in this article. And, man, Smith, he said, he felt like an extra in the background of a reality show. He tried to pick up second-team reps and do all these stuff. And spring ball still got told to hit the portal. He said, Smith said, and I quote, he was destroying guys' confidence, talking about Coach Prime and their belief in themselves. The way he did it, it could have been done with a little more compassion. Apparently, they just sat down a couple of the DBs with Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator, on the couch and said, Coach Prime thinks this would be best if you get in that portal. So, he ended up going to Austin P, and now he's at UTEP, followed their coach Scotty Waldron, and Xavier did. But, and then so Cormani came out this week and said that he doesn't want to play for clicks. People read that, and they were talking about clicks as in, they're talking about Coach Prime with his cameras and whatnot. They're not talking about that. They're talking about clicks, CLIQUES, clicks, not clicks like camera. Um, all those guys that got booted out of the program, that sucks for them, right? And so you've got guys on Twitter following up this Xavier Smith guy who didn't have to do this article with the Athletic, opened up a little bit about what went on, and you've got Shedeur quote tweeting the Athletic and saying, "I don't even remember him. TBH, bro has to be very mid at best." Like, man, that's harsh. That's cold. And that's part of the click culture. I mean, what did Jalen Wester? He quote tweeted and said, "Have so much to say, but not producing." And that's not nearly as bad as what, in my opinion, is what Shedeur said. Jalen didn't know him, but it just shows, right? Like, Jalen wasn't on that team a year ago, and he's a fitting in kind of to the it's either you get it or you don't in Colorado, right? And that's what Cormani McClain was talking about with these clicks. If you're not with the guys that Coach Prime brought in, the Shedeur, the Travis Hunter group that known each other for a long time, you're gonna get left out. And so I'm wondering, what are your guys' thoughts on the way Coach Prime runs his program, recruiting specifically? Is it the right thing to do to kick these players out with no compassion? He's keeping it a buck, but is there supposed to be a humanistic side to it at all?
You could make that argument. I mean, like, everybody would love to have someone just be nice to them about that in that situation, but like, then people might not like what I'm about to say, but I mean, it is a business now at the end of the day, and with the amount of money flying around, and even in the NFL too, I mean, the coaches don't really have compassion. You're cut. Again, it's a business. So I feel like, if anything, it just teaches these kids more of a life lesson. A lot of kids who honestly are probably pretty entitled coming into Colorado, being the guy at their high school, the big recruit, football player. So I think it builds character, like, more than anything. So you might not like it, but you're probably going to be a lot stronger and be able to handle news like that a lot better because of the way Coach Prime operates.
Yeah, to kind of come off of what basically what all the Colorado guys are saying is, if you ask, you ask. Like.
But they went 4-8 last year, Christian. So these guys, they're talking. But I'm not coming at you, but that was just something that ran in my head. Like,
no, I agree. Colorado definitely started off hot and then just completely fell off the map. But at the same time, if you're an absolute duck on my field as a coach, I'm not going to want you out there. And especially Dion, like Tobey said, Dion was however long of an NFL career he had, and then however long of an MLB career he had. He's seen the inside of the locker room and he's seen these guys get cut during training camp. He's seen these dudes get traded randomly throughout the year. He's used to that. It's a cold world we live in, and that's the unfortunate reality, and that's everything when it comes to sports, whether it's actually playing the sport, being a coach, being in the media. You could get laid off, fired, traded at any point. Respectfully, and they're right. Like, bro was kind of trash. The Xavier kid, he was kind of trash. Cormani McClain, you said something that, like, he wasn't really brought in on that click.
That's what yeah.
He was the number one recruit in the country for class of 23. I don't care. You got to be something messed up to not be in that clique. Like, you would think that he would be coming in as Dion's new best friend, the same way that Travis Hunter came into Jackson State as Dion's new best friend. Because remember, Cormani McClain was another kid that Dion was able to flip the commitment to go play. So what it is it's not that he didn't get accepted into the clique. It's Dion wasn't playing you, and the coaches weren't playing you because you weren't taking school seriously. You weren't showing up to meetings. You were sleeping in meetings. You weren't giving it 110%. And respectfully, you're just relying on your athletic God-given abilities rather than actually becoming a student of the game, which is great in high school. Because there's a good chance that, especially even like in South Florida, where Cormani is from, even in South Florida, you're realistically only playing 1 to 2 high-level dudes a game. Like there's realistically 1 to 2 elite possible D1 Power 5 dudes on the field on both sides of the ball. So Cormani is able to use that to just bully to his advantage. But when you're not putting in the extra work and you think that you've already gotten to where you're supposed to be because it's, oh, I'm the number one recruit per Rivals per 24/7, OT7's loving up on me. And then you get out to Boulder and Dion, who's the best defensive player of all time, argue a wall. He's like, nah, bro, you ain't here yet. And it's, yeah, get out of here. And also, I think the playing for clicks was sort of a trending thing, too. I think he was trying to get a tweet going. And you're talking about not playing for clicks. Meanwhile, you're putting something up on your YouTube channel talking about it.
Yeah. So like he wasn't saying that. He was saying he's not playing for the clicks. Like so, it's Jeff Goodman on Twitter. Per breaking news, FAU transfer Johnell Davis visited Arkansas this past weekend and is expected to sign with John Calipari and the Razorbacks. A source told the Field of 68 he is declared for the NBA draft and his preference is to go pro, but Arkansas has offered him a lucrative NIL deal north of $1 million. Breaking news here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Wow. Yep. Wow. Closing out the show here with a bang.
Good for you, Nelly. Get that bag, bro.
Nice.
Well, that's wild. That's a wild way to close it out here. We'll wrap it up on Coach Prime real quick. Yeah, Christian. It's something. We'll see how it works out in the long term once this first group of guys comes out, and we'll see if he's able to keep it going with another generation of recruits. But wow, going now to Johnell Davis quickly before we are out of here. I guess we don't need to debate it anymore. Wow. What do you guys think? So Johnell Davis, Arkansas Razorback, per Jeff Goodman.
Congrats, bro. I don't know.
Get the Squidward meme. But, yeah, no, like y'all said, thank God that this tweet came out now when it did, not in 5 minutes, or else we would have looked like idiots. Imagine at 10:02 it goes Jeff Goodman. We'd be in the post show little meeting, and Robbie would not be a happy camper right now. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, dropping the bomb on us. We got it in here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Vlad Goldin to Michigan, Johnell Davis, Arkansas Razorback, Elijah Martin, Florida Gator, Nick Boyd, San Diego State Aztec. But we got a new generation of Hoopers coming to Paradise. Caleb Glenn, give me AJ Stanton McCray and Leland Walker, Trey Carroll as well, Jaquel Powell, Devin Vanterpool. We got Hoopers here in Paradise in Boca Raton. Portal moves coming soon, hopefully tomorrow. If not, Spice may have a brain aneurysm. But hey, keep your eyes posted on Twitter. Portal news all day. Thank you for listening, as usual, to the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. That's it for tonight. The Lastella Report. Thank you again for listening. For Tobey, for Christian, I'm Robbie. Have a great rest of your night.